We're going to move on to the all-important discussion then on financial inclusion around the world, probably something that you can't discuss enough of right now, particularly on the continent. And it is a keynote address, and it will be given by Briana Marbury. She is the CEO of the Interledger Foundation. And Briana, we're looking forward to what you have to say.
I am delighted to join you today and talk about our journey to building equitable pathways to financial inclusion around the globe. At the Interledger Foundation, we believe that sending payments on the web should be as easy as sending an email. And we also believe that the Interledger protocol, an open source currency agnostic payments network, is the way to make sending payments a lot easier. When I say currencies, that includes cryptocurrencies on blockchains. We also believe that easing the burden of sending payments will ease the barriers to financial inclusion. And you may be thinking, we're at a blockchain conference, why are we talking about financial inclusion? And how does any of this relate to what we're working on? And if you don't already know, I hope to make that clear to you by the end of my talk. So back to financial inclusion. In 2023, it is expensive to be poor. We live in a digital age where the opportunities for a more inclusive global economy are more plentiful than ever, fueled by fast-moving advances in technology. As an example of how far we've come, I don't know the age range of the people in this room, but I remember a time when calling someone long distance in a different state was very expensive, and your conversations were hurried, and it wasn't uncommon to hear, "Get off my phone, you're running up my phone bill." So forget about calling someone in a different country. Now, with the press of a button, you can not only talk to them, but you can see them as well, and it doesn't cost you an additional fee. That's like something out of the Jetsons. I remember watching that as a kid and thinking, like, this is just outrageous. This will never happen. But here we are, and we have flying cars now. But I digress. It's expensive to be poor. Despite all of the technological advancement that we have made, where we can see people through phones, our financial infrastructure remains outdated and out of touch. It's like today's equivalent of using rotary phones. The reality is, current systems don't work for everyone because they were never designed to. They were built to work for a select few. To understand financial inclusion, we need to understand exclusion. The definition of exclusion is the act of not allowing someone or something to take part in an activity or to enter a place. Well, we know that people would never do anything like that, right, on purpose. But regardless, it does show that exclusion is an act and an action, not an accident. Exclusion is deliberate, either by design or default. Today, we are in a world where systems exclude people for a plethora of reasons. You name it. You don't have enough money to put in your account to make the banks more money. Well, guess what? They're going to try to make it hard for you to get an account, and you'll give up trying. And if by chance you persevere and get an account, they'll make money off of you from their fees. Want to send money home to your family member in a different country that's considered a third world, they're going to charge you even more, and it will take even longer to get there. Why? Because they can. It's expensive to be poor. And I don't think that's fair. And at the Interledger Foundation, we don't think that's fair, and we're working to change that. To give some perspective on just how many people have been affected by these exclusionary practices, 1.4 billion people still lack the access to the banking system and digital payments, despite most owning a mobile phone, according to the World Bank's Global Findex. Please know that these statistics and anecdotes that I'm sharing with you are not strictly coming from reports that I read online, I have felt what it is to be excluded because I was one of the billions of people left out of the traditional financial system. I'm from Detroit, Michigan, and not the Detroit of today. The Detroit of today has dog parks and farmers markets and a surprising number of Bitcoin ATMs. And I kid you not, when I was writing this presentation, I looked at how many banks were in my old neighborhood, and there were a good number of options now, including Bitcoin ATMs. When I grew up, you were lucky if you had a bank in your neighborhood, even luckier if you had an account. So imagine getting paid every week and you don't have a bank account. How are you going to cash your check? Your options are drive or take a bus to the nearest bank, which who knows how long that would take you. Or you could find the nearest corner store that was offering check cashing at high fees. And that was usually the quickest and easiest way to cash your check and get access to your money. And you had to pay it because you needed food on the table. In Detroit and so many other cities like it, it's not uncommon for people building their American dream to send money to family members in their home countries through remittances. Despite the fact this means paying transfer fees and opaque networks of financial institutions that chip away at the money they earned, saved, and wanted to share, they still do it anyways, even though it's not fair. They are excluded from a system that's not designed to serve them. Outdated underlying technology exacerbates the financial exclusion of the world's unbanked people, even as innovative services emerge in many countries to fill the gaps. However, many of these services are built on old thinking. Traditional payment networks operate independently from each other, and while sending money through a global digital transaction can feel like a giant leap from a bank branch, it is still only relatively easy if the sender and recipient have accounts on the same network. Payments between different networks are slow and expensive, preserving many of the costs and inefficiencies that have long been a barrier to financial inclusion. To build differently, we need to think differently. All financial services need to be interconnected, interoperable, and international. In otherwise, in an otherwise interconnected world, the ability for underrepresented populations to participate in the global economy is a social justice issue. Access to digital payments has proliferated, but as long as networks choose to remain closed, it's a costly disconnect, hitting the very people who can least afford to pay it the hardest. If we send emails in a blink of an eye to anywhere in the world, why can't the same be true for payments? All payments should be cross-border and cross-currency so they work for everyone, everywhere. These are the principles of the Interledger Protocol, an open protocol suite for sending payments across different ledgers. Just as the internet became the primary way to share information and data, we believe the Interledger Protocol can be the same exchange conduit, but for payments instead of data. As an independent grant-making foundation, at Interledger Foundation, we're committed to supporting global community of entrepreneurs, developers, innovators, and creators working with the Interledger Protocol to create uncharted equitable pathways to financial inclusion across the globe. Since we were established, we have awarded $13 million in grants to 188 awardees in 40 countries. We believe in working in the open in everything we do. That's why we're building with the community, not for them. We wholeheartedly believe in the transformational potential of our technology and how it can improve digital participation in one's economy. However, well-meaning organizations and corporations are often prescriptive without fully understanding the challenges and barriers faced by the very individuals they propose solutions for. This informed our recent report into open payments and inclusive payments in South Africa and Nigeria. Across Africa, digital financial services and technology have been vital to financial inclusion. 55% of adults on the continent now have access to a mobile money or bank account. At the foundation, we're committed to strengthening financial inclusion across the globe in areas underserved by traditional banking services, including the continent where there is the largest population of mobile wallets. Unbanked people who, through Interledger, could have complete access to financial services they've been excluded from. Recognizing every region and country has a unique landscape and that we don't have all the answers for their individual needs, we're committed to adapting our technology and ideas to the realities of the people who may benefit from it the most. And what do we hope to achieve? It's an ambitious goal to address the systemic oppression and structural inequality of the financial services that exist today, but we know that change is possible and technology enables change. Blockchain has shown that even established global systems can be disrupted through technological innovation, that the status quo can be challenged through the belief that things can and should be different, and that we have the technical capabilities to build alternatives. Blockchain addresses many of the issues that cause financial exclusion. It offers distributed, decentralized, and globally interoperable networks that enable seamless financial transactions. It addresses the need for cross-border payments and disrupts traditional models through increased transparency of payment status through real-time information exchanges that can displace the traditional role of intermediaries. The growth and adoption of blockchain has shown a need for a better system about openness, fairness, and transparency. How do existing systems keep pace with change to accommodate the needs within the market? ILP, Interledger Protocol, can provide the bridge between old and new thinking. So, how do blockchain and ILP work together? This addresses the question of how different ideologies of systems can be reconciled. Through the Interledger Protocol, you can focus on equity within infrastructure that enables interoperability, not just the services built on top of it. I come back to my early example of email. You are confident when you send an email, it will be received. You don't need to check with the person you're sending it to in most cases. And you don't have to be on the same provider to send it. You just need their email address. We need to concentrate on the infrastructure provided by technology, not the individual companies themselves. ILP does just that. Because it is currency agnostic, it enables people to pay in blockchain and realize their transactions in a different currency if needed. ILP provides a bridge between different systems. It is only by working together to create interoperable services that we can achieve global financial inclusion, because we believe that financial inclusion is a right and not a privilege. As climate change, disease, and other forces threaten the lives and livelihoods of the most vulnerable populations, equitable access to financial services should be considered an inalienable human right. Using Open Payments Network, in which anyone can seamlessly earn, buy, sell, trade, and share, will build equitable pathways to financial access and participation. It will ensure that the unbanked and underbanked have the opportunity to break generational cycles of poverty. We know this future can be realized together, which is why I'm here today. This is not a utopian concept. It is complex, but it is an achievable goal, one that necessitates the commitment and collaboration between technology leaders, central banks worldwide, governments, policymakers, creators, and civil society. The centrality of digital rights has already been recognized by the United Nations, and its tenets include ensuring digital inclusion for all, including the most vulnerable, as well as achieving universal connectivity by 2023. It's a lofty goal, yes, but so is the creation of the United Nations and its Human Rights Declaration that we honor on December 10th each year, and so was developing the internet itself. We invite everyone here today to work in community to transform the outdated banking norms that exclude those who are disadvantaged, promote engagement through inclusive financial participation, and harness new talent, business models, and practices. So I would like to leave you with an invitation today of joining us. I invite you to contribute if you're a developer, learn, share with the global community with a common goal to make financial systems fair. We have several grant opportunities available. We open up call for proposals several times a year for people to apply for grants, whether you're building, whether you're a content creator, and a developer that's building on the Interledger protocol. Well, thank you, and it's been a pleasure to speak with you today. Thank you for your time.